Students, this is day 2 in the continuation of civics chapter 2. Name of the chapter is Understanding Secularism, and today we are going to cover following topics. Today we will study about minority discrimination and fundamental rights. Second topic we will do about practice of untouchability. Third, we will also study about Indian secularism. Right? And in this Indian secularism, we will also study how the Indian state functions as secular through the strategy of intervention and through the strategy of non intervention. Right? So these topic today we will be covering in this class. Prior to this, let us recapitalize what we have done so far as this particular chapter is concerned. Students, yesterday we started the chapter and I told you about the meaning of secularism. Then I also discussed with you why it is important to separate religion from the state. We also did the religious symbol and to which religion they belong. I told to you yesterday. Then I also told to you about what is the meaning of majority and what is the meaning of minority. Then we did the meaning of secular with the help of few examples. Like example of state like Punjab and Haryana, I discussed with you ki if the people of Punjab, it is not like that. The people of Punjab are having the special privileges because of their religion only, because they belong to Sikhism only. So it is not like that the state is providing special privileges to the Punjabi people and they are not providing the same privileges to the Muslims or to the Hindus or to the other religious communities, right? So yesterday we discussed this example. I also repeated the example which I discussed with you in the Indian Constitution chapter, the concept of majority and minority with the help of class of 60 students, where 40 boys were there, 20 girls were there. I hope you have remember that particular example. Then I told you why it is important to separate religion from the state. There were some points which I discussed with you. And in the continuation of all these topics, today we are going to cover these topics, right? See, as far as our first topic is concerned, minority discrimination. I'm repeating, what is the minority discrimination? See, when the majority, the religion, the religious community which is in majority as compared to the other religious communities, if the particular community does the discrimination against the another communities which are less in number, then this is known as religious discrimination. And discrimination of minority religious group by the majority religious group is also known as the violation of fundamental rights. Okay, and in order to prevent this violation, to protect the fundamental rights of the minority community, because according to fundamental rights there is nowhere written, that if the particular community is in minority, then they are not supposed to enjoy the fundamental rights. If, or it is nowhere written that fundamental rights are only meant for the majority community, right? So in order to prevent the fundamental rights of the citizens coming in the minority category, what is done, and for the smooth functioning of the democracy in any country, it is important to separate religion from the state power, right? So in the context of this, and apart from this religious discrimination, what are the other reasons? See, one reason I have discussed over here, because it is due to the religious discrimination, their fundamental rights, who there I'm talking about over here, about the minority community. So their fundamental rights are violated, and in order to prevent the violation of fundamental rights, it is important to separate the religion from the state. Now there are some, apart from the religious discrimination, there are some other reasons to separate religion from the state. Right? So because what are the other reasons? See, other reasons can be to protect the freedom of individuals, those who wish to embrace another religion, and because of the to maintain the freedom of individuals, to interpret religious teachings. This I have also explained to you in my previous class in the day 1, that each and every person is free to leave, to adopt, or to interpret the religious teachings in their own way, right? Nobody can force anyone to adopt the particular religion, to leave the particular religion. It's the choice of the individual only to adopt any type of religion, right? Or to leave any type of religion, and to interpret the religious practices in their own way, the way they are understanding the particular religion's practices, right? So let us talk about the practice of untouchability. See, the practice of untouchability was on its top as far as the ancient time and medieval time was concerned, but in modern period, the lot of people, the social reformers, worked for the untouchability, and they tried to remove this ridiculous social evil. And nowadays the particular untouchability practice is totally banned, but hiddenly it is still practiced in the remote areas, in the village areas, and especially among the tribal people. So basically what the particular word untouchability means, there are certain communities, suppose Dalits are there, Adivasis are there, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are there, SCs and STs short form we can say. So when the certain communities are stopped to enter into the temples, to drink water from common tap, when the particular communities are stopped to enjoy the educational facilities, when they are stopped to enter into the public places, right? So this type of activities if going on in a particular area, then we can say that practice of untouchability is still going on, right? So in order to in order to stop such type of practices, the Indian constitution provided relaxation and banned the practice of untouchability, right? And if we go to the ancient time and we think about our famous kings, then Akbar was very famous king, not because of his bravery, but he was also he is still now remembered for his religious tolerance, because he invited the people of all the communities to come to a common platform and share their ideas and their religious customs and practices, and by coming that particular common platform they can solve their religious problems. And if you remember, in class 7 we studied about Sulahe Kul, right? So this was the common platform provided by King Akbar towards the religious tolerance, right? So in ancient time also, certain kings gave the importance of equality to all the religions, is irrespective of their caste, background, creeds, etc., right? So next we are moving about the objectives of Indian secularisms. Objectives of Indian secularism. So there are certain objectives of Indian secularism. First is it cross checks that one religious community does not dominate other. This is also called to cross check the inter community domination. And second is intra community domination. What is intra community domination, students? When the some members of same community dominate the other members of same community. Right? So here we can take example the communal rights between Hindu and Muslim. This is the inter-community domination, and here we can say the conflict between Hindu community towards the Hindu community only. When few members of the Hindu community dominate the other members of the same community is known as intra community domination, right? So one of the objective of Indian secularism is to prevent these two type of domination, inter community domination as well as intra community domination. Other objective may be that the state does not enforce any particular religion to leave, adopt, or embrace another religion. Right? So these are the three main objectives of Indian secularism. I hope all the three objectives of Indian secularism are clear to you. I think there is one question in the assignment booklet as well. What are the objectives of Indian secularism? So as a answer of that particular question, you can write these points. These are given in the book as well, right? Your NCERT book. Now our next topic is coming on the way is how the state functions as secular. So there are mainly two strategies through which the state functions for to act as a secular state. First is strategy of, with the help of the strategy of intervention. Right? So what is the strategy of intervention, students? This word is itself giving us intimation some kind of interference in the state affairs or the religious affairs, right? So students, so far I have taught to you that the state is totally separate. The identity of state is totally separated from religions, right? State is separate from religions, but there are certain matters in which the welfare of society as a whole is violated, and sometimes due to the religious practices the wrong message goes to the society as a whole. So, in those cases where the welfare of the society is violated by the religious practices, or the by doing that religious practices, if wrong message is going on towards the society, then in these cases it is the duty of the state to interfere in the religious matters of the particular religious community. Now, for example, female infanticide or infanticide is a illegal practice, and if such type of practice is killing the girl child before taking the birth in the womb itself, so it is a illegal practice. And if such type of illegal practices will move on in the certain religious communities, then what will happen, the ratio of the girls, as far as the gender ratio is concerned, if the ratio of the girls will decrease, then our India's gender ratio will totally disturb. So this is a illegal practice and which is very brutal and cruel. In order to stop such type of practices, it is the duty of the state, because the particular practice is violating the fundamental right as well. Which fundamental right? Right to life, right? And this particular practice is also giving a very wrong message to the society as a whole. So such type of practices, like practice of untouchability. Second example we can take over here. Practice of untouchability. So this is a very, again, negative social evil, and if such type of practices will move on in the society and people allow certain communities to practice untouchability towards the certain communities, then what will happen, it will again violate the fundamental rights of those people, those who are being treated under the untouchability. And this practice also gives a very wrong message to the society. So in order to avoid such type of situation, in order to remove such type of social evils, it is very important for the state to interfere in the religious matter, right? So with the help of strategy of intervention, the state interfere in the religious matters if these are illegal, if these are giving a wrong message to the society, and in this way the state functions as a secular by strategy of intervention. By interfering in the state, in interfering in the religious matters, the state tries to act as secular. Secular means giving equal importance to all the religion, not promoting any particular religion in the state, right? So I hope the strategy of intervention is very much clear to you, and let us move towards our second strategy, the strategy of non intervention. Now what is our second strategy? As the name itself indicating, strategy of non-intervention. In this case itself, its name is indicating us, giving certain idea in our mind what the strategy would be about. Yes, your guess is right. Likewise, in the strategy of intervention, the state interferes in the religious matters in order to stop certain evils, social evils. Likewise, likewise the strategy of intervention, in this particular strategy, the state will not interfere in the religious matters and let the things move in a way, the way in which the things are moving, right? So in this particular strategy, the state, whatsoever will happen, right? In any case, state will not interfere in any religious affairs, right? So this strategy of intervention, again, I can make you more clear with the help of certain example. So students, if you have seen a particular sick man, so what you have observed, what thing is making the sick man different from the others? Yes, it is the pagdi, or we can say the turban of the sick man, which is very much important to their religion, very much important to their religious practices, and it is one of the essential part of their religious practices to carry a turban or a pagdi on their head, essentially, right? So if you have observed any sick man on the road, so what you have noticed? Yes, something would be coming in your mind that while driving the two wheeler, the sick person are accepted by the law to wear the helmet. I hope all of you are now thinking about the image of sick man in your mind, whether they wear the helmet while driving two wheeler on the road or not. Yes, you are absolutely right. While driving the two wheeler on the road, the Sikh community people are accepted, means certain exceptions are there, are certain exceptions in the law of wearing the helmet while driving the two wheeler on the road. If there is a Sikh community people, and if he is wearing a pagdi on his head, then nobody is nobody can force them to remove their pagdi while driving and wear the helmet. So there are certain exceptions which the law has given in order to maintain the religious practices, and the purpose of strategy of non-interference, or the purpose of giving certain exceptions in the laws, is to maintain, is to not to hurt, is to not not to hurt any religious sentiments of any religious community, right? So how we are connecting the strategy of intervention with this example? Here the state will remain silent, and by not interfering in the religious sentiments, what is the religious sentiment over here in this particular example? Wearing a pagdi. So the state will not interfere in the religious sentiments of the particular religious community, and it will remain silent. And by maintaining the silence and not interfering in the religious sentiments, the state will function as a secular state, right? So here we can take the second one example in this strategy of non-interference. Again, I'm taking a Sikh man example only. See, although I am discussing this example with you, my purpose is only to make you more clear regarding the particular topic. Here I am not at all, my purpose is not to hurt, or not to give, not to hurt any religious sentiments of any community, because I know many of, because all of you are watching the particular video, and all among the viewers, there could be the Sikh boys also who are watching this. So my purpose is not to hurt any religious sentiments of any community. My purpose was only to make you more understand regarding the particular topic. The second one example we can take over here regarding the Sikh man only. If you have observed a Sikh man in the army, so in army as well, the law has given the exceptions to the particular community not to wear the army cap on the duty, right? So although the all other religious people apart from the Sikh community, all the other religious people, if they are on the duty in the army, they are supposed to wear the army cap. But still, if a man is a Sikh by the religion, so the army cannot force to the particular Sikh man to remove his turban and wear the army cap. So again it is proved that with the help of strategy of non-interference, the state functions as a secular state. So I hope these two strategies are clear to you, and there is one question in the assignment also. So now you will be able to uh, write about what you are supposed to write in the ask question in the assignment, right? So I hope these topics are clear to you. We will be meeting in our next class. Till then, enjoy.